Let me turn my attention to the four pillars that I like to talk about. First and foremost is talent dividend. And I'm moving away from demographic dividend, which we are blessed with. 1.4 billion people, aspirational, young, wanting to have a better life, wanting to have a stake in the society, consuming more products and services every day, and superior products and services every day. Within that demographic dividend and the huge markets that we are creating, we need to focus on talent dividend. As the CII president, when at that time Tarun Das he's here today. I'm glad to see him after a long time. He was the Secretary General at that time. The government started to talk about affirmative action. I was in the middle of it, and we were talking to the government that industry will play its role in creating the right employment, generational opportunities. It will create the right talent. It will work towards skilling. It will try to create job-ready people through their education and skilling. How have we succeeded in that in the last 15, 17 years? I think the industry has played a role. But have we done enough? Perhaps the answer is no. Even now we hear some voices coming from some parts of the political spectrum about some form of reservation in the private sector. And we all know that debate can continue. But how we can completely avoid the debate is by creating a workforce, creating a talent dividend that this country needs today. We all know the world is aging. Most of the developed nations have very aged workforce. They're short of people. Yet the walls on immigration are rising every day. Our young people, our engineers, our trained people, our nurses, our doctors, our teachers are not going to get as easy access as they've had in the past. Thankfully, the world has moved to a digital medium. Today, from the comfort of their homes, in urban or villages, they can serve the globe. It is therefore no surprise that we are seeing the growth of GCC centers here in India in a dramatically large way. 1 million people coming and knocking at the doors of our society for a job every month. 1.5 million engineers being produced in the country every year, more than US and China put together. All of them need to be harnessed. This energy needs to be harnessed. There is so much potential out there. There's so much talent out there, but it's not necessarily job ready. That is where skilling and the right kind of engagement with the academia of the industry becomes vitally important. We need to do much more. I think we are still working on the fringes of collaboration between industry and academia. And that is one place where I would like my industry friends, industry players to lead the charge and work more with the academical institutions to create job-ready talent for the country. We need it for our own needs. We need it for the globe. It's absolutely an imperative and an essential to importantly take away the debate on is industry creating employment or not. There are new areas which we need to focus on: AI, green energy, space-com, next generation of connectivity and telecom technologies. All this needs to be focused upon. The second pillar I would like to turn my attention to is R&D. India spends 1%, less than 1% of its GDP on R&D. This has been almost always woefully inadequate for a country of our size. China does 2.5% of its larger GDP. Korea does 5%. And yes, countries which have small markets like Taiwan, Korea, Israel, and many others need to do that because they have no choice, because they have no local markets. They have to create innovative, new cutting-edge products to go and serve the globe. Yes, we have the advantage that we have a large domestic market, but should we not spend more on R&D, more on innovation, and no more just pure frugal innovation, which we do well, but going into really meaningful, deep scientific, deep technological advances that India needs to make for ourselves and for the world. Indian industry needs to step up its spending on R&D. Are there any obstacles? Do we need more tax breaks for R&D spending? Do we need incentives from the government? I know that in the past, the R&D expenditures were encouraged, there were incentives, there were tax pass-throughs. Many of those were taken away because the government felt the industry was not utilizing it well or doing enough. I think here we come back to the point of trust. Let's do and demonstrate what is required from us in terms of R&D spending so that the government can also step up its game and encourage more R&D spending. Government themselves are doing a lot. Just 3 days back, 1,000 crores was announced for R&D efforts towards the future space and telecom technologies. So government is putting up 1,000 crores. The industry needs to, with academia, take advantage of that, contribute its own money into the pool and create a larger R&D ecosystem. This will be my second point. The third point is really on a trade reset. We need to have a mindset in which products and services are purpose fit for today's world. We need to diversify our export basket. We need to focus on what is required in the world, create industries, factories, and capabilities to serve the world in the areas that is much required. We are good on exports, but are we doing enough? The answer would probably be no. And this is where I think CII, chambers, we as industry players need to work with the government and create policy frameworks to ensure that we are diversifying our export basket. No raw material should really leave our shores without being processed and value added. That should be an article of faith with all of us in the industry. And the more we can do locally here by adding value, the better off we will be. Import substitution will be another area. We import over $600 billion worth of electronic goods and components. The PLI scheme that the government launched has made a dramatic difference of seeing manufacturing coming in India. And I honestly hadn't thought during my lifetime we'll see electronic manufacturing coming here. Not just electronic manufacturing of smartphones, mobile phones, washing machines, refrigerators, televisions, etc. But we are also now launching, as you know, a semiconductor mission where government is laying out very large amounts of money for support, in support of the semiconductor mission in the country. It will not happen overnight. It will not happen in the next 2-3 years. But in 10 years' time, the seeds that we are sowing today in this country will start to flourish and show us the advantages, because semiconductor will become an important area and it does consume a lot of money. And every import substitution that we do, we create more foreign exchange reserves. The dollar that has to leave our shores stays with us, goes straight into our reserves. Importantly, it retires the serious import issues that we may have. Hydrocarbon imports are another area. We hear that Northeast is floating in oil and gas. We as industry, players who are in that space and the new players who want to enter the space need to go and exploit our own mineral resources to get them out at the service of a nation. We need to reduce our import in oil and gas. We are doing a dramatically good job in the area of renewable energy, solar, wind, all of that is doing well. But add to that hydrocarbon from our domestic sources will be a game changer for us. The fourth pillar, to my mind, is one of the most important pillars and relevant for a chamber like CII. And that is really in the area of policy framework. Industry, the country, the stakeholders, society, all of us assembled here today, need to put our minds together to figure out how do we get a policy framework that creates velocity towards our efforts of building India. The Viksit Bharat dream that our Prime Minister has needs further acceleration. And I know government is doing enough and more, but perhaps there are areas which we know are better or missing where the government needs to provide some more relief to the industry. And that is the job of CII as a chamber, that we work with the government to co-create these policies.